we go. Now we're up and running. A little bit
Yes,
of
we are.
technical difficulties there, but finally on with another episode here on Duo Jive.
Uh-huh. How
Yes,
you doing, buddy?
sir. Good as always. Back in Wyoming. I did leave this weekend, so did a little bit of exploration, did some air travel up into or not up, but down into Houston. Went down to Houston for a good 3.5 to 4 days
Yep.
for a wedding. And that was quite the adventure, I will say. But back in Wyoming, back in work, back on the grind with this shift, where it's putting me at work later in the evening, but not for too much longer.
So you're calling from work?
I am once again. So mind the audio and mind the background appearance, not the normal studio. Not that I had a studio before, but not the normal,
Room.
yes, normal
Background.
room.
Yeah, absolutely.
And temporary, still temporary. I know last week was this way, this week again. Maybe one more week, but then we'll be back into it.
Rock on, bro. Rock
How are
on.
you?
Well, it's cool. It's cool that technology affords us the opportunity to do this, right? You're not at
Yes,
home in your studio, and it is indeed your studio, that room. It's part of it is anyway, is your studio. And normally this is where you broadcast, right? And me, of course, this is where I am every week. But it's cool that technology affords us the opportunity to do these kinds of things, even when we're not at
I
home. I
couldn't agree more.
am super stinking fantastic. I'm sure
As
you would imagine.
expected.
Yeah, but I'm blessed, loving life, enjoying my job. I've got some really wonderful people that I work with. I'm very thankful for them. I'm very thankful for the job that God gave me or provided me with that brought me closer to my family. Because you guys are in Wyoming, I am now in Denver and only 4 hours away. Pretty stinking excited about that.
It is a tremendous benefit having you much closer, being able to see you on the weekends and hang
Yes,
out and just do that a
yes,
lot more than we were, in the past couple
yeah.
years. So definitely a
Oh,
treat.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to be home for, of all things, going to be home for Halloween.
Yep. Come
Who
next
would
week,
have imagined?
week and a half from now, it will be Halloween.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, Halloween's not an important day at all to me, but I know that Lizzie's going to be there. Dawson is going to be there. So,
The whole
we
family.
are going
Well,
to
most of the
enjoy
family.
this.
It'll be fun.
Yep.
That's in a couple
Yep.
weeks, but we do have a little bit of catching up to do as far as this past week. I know that I started off with talking about my traveling to Houston, but I figure
Yes.
before we go any further, we should probably get into it, introduce ourselves and introduce what people are listening to for if it's for the
Yes.
first time or back again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'll give you a drum roll.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Well, welcome to this week's episode of Duo Jive, another
Do a
week.
jive.
Whether you're
Yes.
tuning in for the first time or have listened to all, I think, 24 episodes. Oh my goodness. So this is episode number 24, 25. Regardless, thank you for listening. And
Yes.
welcome to Wyoming's #1 podcast for questionable advice, accidental wisdom, and deeply unnecessary storytelling. Once again, we're back at it with who knows what. We will see.
Yes.
Join us.
Yes, much to talk about, and we've kind of been bartering back and forth on what we will be talking about, and so there is too much to talk about in one episode, no doubt. But
It always is.
I'm sure has been the case. Our listeners slash viewers are hopefully going to enjoy talking about or us talking about it, and them chiming in with their comments. That's been an absolute blast. And by the way, if you're listening, if you're watching, we really do enjoy your input. I get a thrill. And don't get me wrong, people say things that I don't agree with, right? In our comments. And I'm sure, Noah, that you don't agree with them as well. But it's not about that. It's about being able to have that conversation. It's about being able to have those conversations about things people don't normally want to talk about because maybe they do ruffle feathers. Fortunately, though, you and I, never get upset ever about what people share with us, what they say, even if they get upset. We understand that people get their feelings in the way, right? And
Well,
then,
regardless, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. First of
correct.
all, if you kind of go with that base foundation and understand that regardless of whether or not who's right, who's wrong, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. They're entitled to speak their mind. It's the beauty of living in America.
Yep.
Freedom of
Yes.
speech. So express it, and hopefully the conversation is done in a way to where it's a little more mature that can be handled appropriately for each person to communicate and kind of
Absolutely.
hopefully
Absolutely.
grow off of. Hopefully, that's the goal. With that, make sure to check out our socials. That's where you're going to really be able to communicate to us, whether it's Instagram, TikTok. Make sure to leave a
Facebook.
comment,
Yeah.
subscribe, Facebook, any of those platforms. YouTube. YouTube is actually, we're posting some live video, or not live, but we're posting hopefully live in the future, but we're posting some video versions of the podcast on YouTube. So go ahead and check that out if you want to see our beautiful faces. Leave a comment and let us know what you guys think of the episode or what you guys think of the podcast and how we can improve. Kind of following up with what Chris was saying there. We love to speak with you guys and hopefully have conversations in the future.
And we respond. We respond. Again, not necessarily a response that you may or may not want, but it's the response that comes to us, right? And we think it's beautiful that everybody has a different opinion, by the way.
I
Yeah.
completely
And
agree. It's the beauty of everyone, being their own person. It's the beauty of being your own person is you have your own opinion, you have your own thoughts on how you handle situations. Hopefully it's done in a respectable way. Yeah, with that, hope to communicate to you guys. Check out, Duo Jive. Check out our personals, both Chris, which is I producer, and Yep, I'm Noah, which is me. And I do have my own personal YouTube channel if you want to see more of my content. That'll be on my personal channel, Noah Avery. I'll link that in the description, along with my newest video. Yep, I know, another one. It actually isn't out yet. It's going to be out probably by the time that this is posted. So, yeah, check it out. It's going to be our traveling home from Florida, which is a bittersweet. It's the end of a trip slash vacation series. It's finally coming to a close,
enjoyed every one of
kind of
them.
wrapping up. I thank you. Kind of wrapping it up and looking forward to new adventures. It's not stopping there. So we'll keep it going. In the meantime, make sure to check those out. Noah Avery on YouTube and Noah Avery on other platforms as well. Duo Jive on other platforms and I
On
Producer
all of
Chris.
them.
Check us out.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
and also podcasting platforms.
Yes. Podcasting platforms, Spotify. I mean, I assume that's what you're probably listening to this on. So whatever platform you're on, leave us a
Yeah.
follow. It would be
Right on.
greatly appreciated because then we could
Right
grow.
on. Yep, just a couple of guys kind of basing things from Wyoming and even talking about that every once in a while. A lot of fun. So you finished another video. It's going to be posted most likely by the time this is on the air. And what else is going on?
Well, I mean, I just left. I just got back from Houston, so we did a little weekend getaway to where we went and celebrated a wedding for Tiffany's family. Her family, her grandma got married, and we
Uh-huh.
were able to go hang out. And if
Saw the
anyone
pictures.
in
Cute
on,
fact. Uh-huh.
it was fun. If anyone listening
Uh-huh.
out there is from Texas, we went to Whataburger, of course. That was our first stop, especially coming from Wyoming, which doesn't have Whataburger. Actually doesn't have a
Right.
lot, so we indulged
Right.
tremendously. We indulged a lot. It was a lot of fun, but definitely had to do our pit stop at the Whataburger, did the wedding, and then came right back. Quick, pretty tiring, but glad to be kind of home and kind of getting back in the rhythm of things.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, I can just imagine you're winded because of that trip. Because it was fast. I didn't even get a chance to hook up with you guys while you were in Denver.
Oh, I know. I know. That we debated that. We were talking about so we flew in this past Sunday, October, I think 19th it was. This past Sunday, we flew into Denver and we landed. So the flight was from 5 to 6. There was a time change, so it was a 2-hour flight, but we landed at 6 and took off at 5. And it was early in the morning. Like we woke up at 2 a.m. That morning to get to the airport, check in, get everything situated, fly out at 5, go through security with a whole group of people. And when we finally got through everything, got off the plane, got to the cars, we were like, okay, now what are we going to do? Everyone was beat, exhausted. It was 6 a.m. in the morning, and we were all acting as if it was midnight still. And we decided to kind of slowly mosey on up. We got breakfast, everyone was kind of out of it. And then we came up to Bucky's. We mentioned, are we going to do anything before heading home? Finally making our way into Wyoming and kind of
Yeah.
decided against it. We did a quick stop at Bucky's, which was the shortest stop at Bucky's I've ever experienced, especially with a group that size and with
Yeah.
it being Tiffany's family because they're avid Bucky lovers.
Yeah.
Another Texas thing. Anyone out there listening, shout out to you guys for having all the good stuff. Whataburger, Buc-ee's,
Huh?
all that, but
Uh,
we went and checked that out, and then we came straight home and kinda just unwinded on Sunday. I was very tired. I actually went to bed at 8 AM or 8 PM, I'm sorry. 8
right
PM.
on,
Mm.
right on. Sunday, I didn't even realize Sunday was gone and you guys were back until it was late in the day. It's like, oh my god, where's Noah and Tiff and everybody at, right? Because I knew you were coming into town, but I was busy the first half of the day visiting my first time at Mountain View Church in Strasbourg.
Mountain View.
Yes, sir.
And where's Strasbourg located?
So I am in Watkins, which is right on the outskirts of Denver on the east side, just south of the airport. I mean, I'm really neighbors to the airport. Where I'm at in both my job and where I'm at as well. 70 runs east straight out of Denver and towards St. Louis. And if you go another 15 minutes further than where I'm at on the interstate, which is Watkins, there's Strasburg. And this little blink of a town, dude, I kid you not. It's a blink of a town, but it's got a church that seats approximately 350, 400 at minimum. And they're having two services on Sundays because of the
Okay,
people
more
that want to
traditional style.
attend.
Is there like an early morning one and then a later one?
Nope, both services are the same. Both services are the same in every way, and there's nothing traditional about it. I love it. I'm looking
I'm
forward to be able
talking
to
about when I
introduce.
say traditional, I'm talking it's like it's becoming more normal for churches to like have a 9 AM service and 11
Yes.
AM service. Is that kind of what
Well,
you mean?
yeah, yes, indeed, that the 8 a.m. service is the early service. And then I think it was 10:30 was the second one, but I was at the 8 a.m. because some friends of mine at the where I work attend there. They live there and they attend there. So I went with them, got to meet husbands, and wives, and just really enjoy a time of great fellowship with these people. But most importantly, worshiping God. And it was the first. Now, here's the thing: it was the first church I have visited in three cities, mind you, that actually took time to worship God for more than two songs. One of the churches that I visited earlier just got together for like I don't know, 5 minutes. We sang one song and then dove right into the announcements and junk like that. And when I go to church, I know I'm really weird and I don't really care. But when I go to church, I'm excited if they sing five, six, seven, eight songs and take time during that period of time to encourage the congregation to join in and worship and make it a vertical experience, right? Make it all about God and worshiping him and exalting him. And that got me wound up, dude. Got me wound up. I am looking forward to be able to introduce you to this church.
Okay. Well,
That
now I'm
that was
excited.
my
I know that
yeah. So
that we're going to be
shout out
coming and
to Mountain
visiting,
View. Yeah, I hope so. Sooner than later, right? But we got a lot coming up,
hopefully.
dude. I mean, coming up real fast is Halloween, right? And then right after that,
Yeah, Halloween's coming up next week.
you guys are going back to Texas, are you not?
We are going right back to Texas here in 2.5 weeks for another wedding,
Uh
literally
huh.
40 minutes away from where we had this wedding.
Yep.
Crazy. The entire state of
Yep.
Texas, and it's 40 minutes away, and we're gonna go hit it up in that wedding, which will be a fun little weekend getaway. And then right
Yes, it
after
will.
that is Thanksgiving. So I mean, talk about back to back to back.
Well, and then
And then on
after
top of
that,
it, I'm doing
you've got Christmas break, right? So I
we
don't know if
do,
there'll be many.
yes.
Yeah, there won't be many trips to Denver, I'm sure, but still, a lot of time for me to, or a lot of reason, and a lot of time for me to be in Wyoming. So either way, it totally
That's true.
rocks
And
for
then
me.
are you planning on doing some more church discovery or church exploring? Or are you going to stick with what is it, Rocky Mountain?
I visited one time. Is that a fair assessment? Right? I mean, I loved it. I did. I loved it. And automatically, I'm thinking in my mind, okay, this is going to be it, right? So I'll visit one more time just to say, after two visits, okay, this is a good place. And this is a place where I can hang my hat because I'm going to be in, it just so happens I'm going to be in this area for a couple of years, which is kind of
Yes.
strange considering the fact that I'm usually in places for 3, 4 months at the most. So this is going to be the first time in a while that I'm in one place for an extended period of time, extended period of time. However, once I visited again this week, I was a little disappointed with the fact that they don't have anything going on Wednesday night. And the word of God, and I know people kind of that sounds bad to say it this way, but the Bible says that it admonishes us to forsake not the assembling of ourselves together, which means to get together more often, right? So I'm looking for a place that gets together on Wednesday night and Friday night, and they gather together a lot. And so I'm going to continue my search just a little bit, even though I've really liked Mountain View. But
Okay.
still,
Well,
shout
I
out to
mean, those
Mount.
are both from yeah, shout out to Mountain View. I'm excited to check them out, but those are both topics on what we talked about last week whenever we were kind of making key points as far as what to look for in a church whenever you're, trying out new churches, new location, you moved, and you just want to find the right church. And when you do that, you kind of have these key points, one of which can be worship, one of which can be how often are the church fellowshipping and such and so on.
Yes,
Make sure to go
yes,
check out that
yes.
video if you haven't already listened to the previous
Yep. Last
podcast.
week. Yep.
Yeah, that was just last week, and those are pretty big ones. And I know that you were a pretty big advocate on how you like to worship, and I'm excited to see how they
Yes.
handled this at Mountain View because if you're hyping it
Right.
up, that's big things.
That is true. Absolutely. And you're right. And it's not everybody puts the kind of conditions on how they search for a new church in an area that I do, but that those were mine. Absolutely. And they did real well. And it wasn't just the worship, the message was fantastic. And by the way, they broadcast online. So if somebody wants to check out, I mean, the message was truly fantastic. So if anybody wants to check them out, Mountain View, I think Strasburg is actually Strassburg, I think is what the name of the town is, but it's just east of Denver, and a really good place. I felt super super welcome there. Right, it's my very first time, so naturally I was looking at all of these things, and if somebody on the east side of Denver is looking for a place, I would recommend that. So yeah, that's that whole experience.
Well, that's exciting. Very
Yeah.
exciting. I know that that was another topic. That was another key point, the welcoming, the atmosphere on how it made you feel whenever you arrived. All great key factors when it comes to kind of that discovery process in that church.
It's funny that you mentioned it because that church did meet many of the points that you brought out last week.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually exciting. So it sounds like you definitely need to give it a second try then.
Yes, sir, I do.
Yeah.
Yes,
And hopefully
absolutely.
it'll be one that we're
And
able
will.
to attend with you. But like you said, it may be a couple weeks just because we have both Tiffany and I have, I mean, everybody, but especially Tiffany and I have a lot of stuff planned in the coming weeks here and months, even, which is always a good thing. It's always good to stay busy and keep yourself busy with
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and trips. And that's my big thing is I'm big on trips. So this was a fun one with Houston, another one coming up in the future. I mean, just this trip alone, I was able to get whenever I went down there, I was able to get my hands on some actual local bluebell. Another Texas favorite. Another thing that Texas has, which I mean there are other states that have it. I mean, I even got my hands on bluebell, like those small pints in
Mhm.
the smaller like
Yep.
little quart or not
Yep.
quart, but yeah, the smaller ones
Yeah, the courts
and yeah,
or
the
pints.
courts in
Yeah.
Bucky's in the Denver in Johnstown in the Bucky's there, which is still a Texas establishment, but it was in Colorado, it was in Denver. But I did manage to get my hands on a full quart of Bluebell ice cream down in Houston. And that was
Mm.
my dessert ice cream taste test of the week. I had to get it so I could
Oh,
rate it
really?
and I could talk about it tonight. I mean,
You tasted some ice cream. Yeah.
strictly for scientific purposes, of course.
Of course. Of course. Yeah. Well, that's what I was telling myself today, by the way, when I was sampling some ice cream. Which one did
So
you
you
get?
have a
What
new one
flavor?
as well. Well, the flavor that
Yes,
I
sir, I do.
got was the flavor I got was it was Bluebell, and it was just a classic vanilla, no sugar added. So it was a healthier version. I decided to get it because it wasn't quite a cheat day yet, and I felt as if what better way to indulge in something than that's something different like Bluebell because they're good ice cream, but at the same time see how it handles in the healthier criteria being no sugar added. It talked about how it was 65% less fat, only like 100 and something calories per serving rather than 300 per serving. you're cutting it pretty significantly, and it was good. It was classic vanilla. I couldn't have gone wrong with it. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. There's practically no difference other than you just maybe a little bit less of a sugar high. Still really good.
Well, the fact that it's healthier makes the experience better, I think. I mean, yes, I like to indulge on exotic flavors and a lot of sugar, but I mean, truly, it's got to make your experience being able to take advantage of the fact that Bluebell is in the area. Did you go to Brenham? I mean,
No,
was this an
we went to I think it, oh, it was HEB. We picked up the Bluebell Light.
right on, right on? Because I mean, you were what, about 40 minutes from Brenham where you were at, no doubt.
I'm not 100% sure. I'm not too familiar with Brenham. Is that where a Bucky's is located?
No, Brenham's where they manufacture Bluebell.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I did see a Bluebell truck, which was pretty cool. That I mean, a full on dedicated, like a security level truck, but
I saw the
Bluebell ice
picture.
cream. Yes, yeah, it was pretty cool. They even reposted Bluebell reposted that on their page, which was fun.
No,
And
really.
yep, yeah, it was a cool high rating. I probably would rate that like a 9.5. It was classic vanilla, nothing crazy, but the
Right.
fact that you were getting a delicious ice cream, I will be honest, I'm gonna come clean. When I had this Bluebell ice cream, I was with some family and they pulled out the leftovers of the wedding cake that was for the wedding. There was a bunch of
Okay.
leftovers, like cut pieces off with some icing and stuff
Okay.
like that,
Yep.
and they're like, "You
Yep.
should put this on the vanilla ice cream." And I was like, "That's a genius idea." And I did, which completely
Yes.
made the health go it immediately
Yep.
went out the window.
Yep.
The
Yep.
the health went out the window, but it just made it all the more better. It made it into wedding cake vanilla ice cream,
My goodness.
top
Yes.
tier.
Was it a good wedding cake though? I
It
mean,
was actually by far the best.
what?
I will say that wedding cake was I was quite almost like addicted to it because I kept coming back thinking, "Man, this is some good cake." Just by itself.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you're that guy at the reception, huh?
I
Never
am. I
trip
got
back for
2
another piece.
pieces. I
Oh,
did.
okay. You stopped at 2. All right. Well, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. It's that guy when you said it's when you see that guy walking back up to the wedding cake table, picking up his sixth piece. You
Yeah.
got that guy.
Maybe
But I
not
mean,
that bad.
it's not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. If you're somebody listening and you eat 6 pieces of wedding cake, it's not bad at all. I'm just saying.
You
Last
may
thing you want to do is
there's a point at which you wanna kinda slow your roll and kind of, enjoy in
ideally
moderation. Yes, enjoy in
hope
moderation.
right and hope that they don't dislike the fact that you were there because some people didn't get wedding cake. Right?
Yep.
You didn't leave one.
Stole it all.
Yeah. 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 No big deal though. Good. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've tasted some wedding cakes. That's all they were was a taste because they were horrible, just horrible.
They weren't oh, okay, you weren't a fan?
But yeah, I mean, it's very tough, really. It's a very hectic day, right? And everybody's rushing around, and it's unfortunately in many cases an overproduction, especially when it comes to the wedding cake, and the wedding cake maker or planner even whoever's making the wedding cake sometimes finds it to be a little bit too much, maybe, and it tastes terrible and it's dry, all that
Ooh,
jazz. But I'm really glad. I mean, I bet the ceremony was beautiful, and you got to hang out
it
with
was good.
everybody. Really good weekend for you, man. I'm really
Well,
happy
I
about that.
mean, I there's mine, wedding cake, Bluebell, no sugar added Bluebell ice cream. There's my dessert of the week.
Uh huh.
Now, you said that you tried something today.
Yes, I did, as a matter of fact, and I even sent out a picture because I was that excited. I didn't really have a plan today to go eat ice cream anyplace. I try to do the right thing, right? I try not to visit ice cream places, and I try not to visit fast food, and I try not to do things that I know that are unhealthy. But for research purposes, however,
Exactly. Yes.
I had, and of course, I knew that there was an Andes near, I mean, very close to where my job site is. So after work, dude, that's where I was headed. And so I went up to the window and I told the young lady, "Okay, you don't know me, but I am on a podcast every Tuesday night, and so I need some guidance and some direction on what I should try because a segment of this podcast deals with new ice cream flavors. She said, I don't have a clue. I had to,
Alrighty.
unfortunately, at Andy's, you can just get really creative, right? I could have added 20, 30 different flavors and stuff. Now, there's only two flavors of ice cream, and it's not ice cream, it's custard. And it's been so long
Ooh,
since I've had a good custard. Yeah, right?
yes.
That's a legitimate ooh, right? I mean, custard has some personality to it, and it's very rich, especially at Andy's. They've always had really good custard.
I actually recently discovered that custard has the reason what makes the difference between custard and ice cream is custard is they add egg. They add an egg, or I'm not sure how much egg, but they add egg to the ice cream, which makes it
Of course,
creamier, fluffier, and
yes,
just overall
yes,
a smoother
richer,
texture. I
yes,
recently
yes,
discovered that, and
yes, sir.
I think I'd like custard more, to be honest, if I were to compare the two.
I can totally I can back you up on that, bro. It is tastier. And as a matter of fact, I shouldn't have added anything. I should have totally gone with just a vanilla, and that's it. It was rich. It was really rich. And it wasn't like the rich that was incorporated into my our Cold Stone experience the week before. It was rich because of the custard. The custard was very rich. And on top of that, and delicious, obviously, but she suggested that I just get creative with the flavor. So I did. I asked her to add a lot of caramel, of course, because I'm a caramel freak. And then I asked her to add some peanuts and some M&Ms. So they didn't have them, but they did have some peanuts, and they had. So guess what I had? I had my peanut M&Ms, and the peanut. I think the peanuts being added to the custard that way were freaking delicious, dude. It was so amazing. I couldn't stop. I was only going to eat a little bit of it, and I
It's
was going to
almost like you
practice
got a
some,
caramel sundae at that point,
that. Oh well, that's a
in
good
a
way to
way.
put it. With
Because
M&Ms, right?
peanuts and caramel, like a caramel drizzle on top with some
Huh?
peanuts, that's
Yep.
what's vanilla ice cream, that's like a sundae,
Yep.
very classic
Yep.
sundae,
Yep.
and those are delicious. I don't personally go for caramel or caramel. Ooh, there's a hot take.
Caramel.
Is it caramel or
Or
caramel?
you're right.
But I like hot
Potatoes,
fudge
potato.
on top of mine. Yeah, but
Huh?
you do you. I mean,
Uh-huh.
hey, in all
Uh,
fairness, you're more than
absolutely.
welcome to do you, even if you're wrong,
I will
but
gladly
I've
do
definitely
that.
gotta try this Andes.
Yes, you do. Yes, it's nice and close. Of course, it's really cheap, delicious desserts, and I would recommend. They had caramel apples advertised on the exterior. So I was thinking to myself, man, some a caramel apple, whatever in the custard would be freaking awesome. It wouldn't be the apple
Interesting.
pie. It wouldn't be the apple pie from, was it Don's or John's, whatever place that was right outside my RV park in Chicago. Remember that place? Made the most
I remember
amazing.
you totally made me forget which one, but or what it's
Yeah,
called,
I
whether
think
it's
I
Don's or
think
John's.
I think it was John's, but it was a little place in Marseille. They actually pronounce it Marseilles, but it's spelled out Marseille just like the foreign city. But it was in Marseille, and delicious. They made the most delicious apple pie sundae I could have possibly imagined in my life and still dream about it. But I was thinking that was what was going to go on here, but no, they didn't have that kind of apples and that kind of caramel. They had caramel apples wrapped in caramel. That wasn't for me because it's too hard on my teeth. But nonetheless, but I did enjoy what I had. Couldn't stop and finish the whole thing like a big pig.
So would you one question I do have for you, would you say custard or Cold Stone is better? I know it could be custard can be better than ice cream, but I feel like Cold Stone's kind of on its own level. So in comparison, do you say custard or Cold Stone? Do you have a
A
preference?
custard. I mean, they're
Custard
just that
over
fast,
Cold
dude.
Stone.
Over Cold Stone, absolutely, absolutely. So Cold
Custard's pretty
Stone just
good.
yes, dude. I'm telling you. I mean, it's amazing. Cold Stone. What they're doing is they're making a flavor, right? They're taking some cake batter ice cream and adding the boo stuff to it, right? And calling it boo whatever, right? I mean, that's cool. And they didn't have any of that there. I was kind of surprised about that at Andy's, but and that's a really cool thing about Cold Stone. But and then they smash it all together with whatever additional ingredients. I think it's too much. I think I
Well,
want
I
to
mean,
go
you
back.
can get just the ice cream.
Exactly, you can. but it's not like custard. Sorry.
Yes, that's where Custard has it beat. Classic Custard over classic ice cream. Custard's gonna win all day long, but I
Bravo.
am a
Yes.
avid fan of cake batter flavored.
Mm.
And
Yep.
if you somehow have a cake batter flavored custard, poof, you win. You win. You got my vote forever. I'm fully dedicated to you, but I'd probably pick Cold Stone as far as when it comes to the additions. I'm a fan of like seeing concoctions like Boo Batter and the Carnival
Sure.
churro
Sure.
caramel lovers thing that you got, but those were both things that we tried in the previous episode. Go check it out if you want to
Yes.
hear our thoughts on Boo Batter and caramel
Yes.
churro, whatever you got at Cold Stone.
Carnival. Caramel
But
char
I'm also a fan of
caramel carnival.
yeah, of custard.
Yeah. Yeah. And the funny part about it is if you were to take both of those establishments and just take their basic ice cream or custard, it's going to be custard down, hands down, hands down, hands down, hands down. You know what I'm saying? It's going to
Well,
be
now we need to
totally.
come down there and try that.
Yes, sir, you do. Absolutely. Yes. And we need to set that time aside. Of course, if we set a time aside for that and then going and checking out a great flick, becomes a good night, bro. Becomes a good real night.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. If you haven't caught on already, Wyoming, especially where, well, Chris is not currently located, but where I'm located and where Chris came from, or where Chris is from originally, somewhat, we don't have much here. We are pretty limited, unfortunately. So we always enjoy being able to get out and try things. I'm pretty sure there's probably people
Yes.
listening going, yeah, I have that every week. Like it's not that big a deal.
Right.
Custer's not that big a deal.
Right.
But when you come from a town that has less than 10,000 people and the closest Target is over 2 hours away, let that sink in. Let that put that into
Yes.
perspective for you.
Yes. Yes.
Everything is all of a sudden 10 times better. You look forward to going and just getting a bowl of ice cream and being able to get a good burger somewhere just because you're
Yes.
really only limited to McDonald's. And
Yes.
that's a downside to Wyoming, but it can also be a plus depending on how you look at it. It makes you appreciate things more, but you don't get to do it as often. You win some, you lose some.
Give and take no
Wyoming
matter where you
life.
go. So if you lived in Denver, you might have convenience, right? With all those things that we just talked about. But then you got other things too, much higher crime, for example. And that's just getting started. Yeah, it's a give and take no matter where you are. It's really a matter of what's most important to you.
Yes.
I love Wyoming. I love Wyoming. And I don't love the fact that there's not many people there because I'm a people person, but I still love Wyoming. Yeah. Anyway, and as a matter of fact, it's funny because you're looking forward to coming down here with me and visiting one or two different places, three different places, right? I mean, this is the way we spend our weekends that you and Tiff and Lincoln are able to come down here, right? We're looking forward to trying new things, and that's cool. But I think not having them nearby makes them more special.
I agree. I think you're completely right on that. I feel when you don't have it at your disposal all the time, you kind of look forward to it in a way that most people
Yes.
are like, "Oh, it's down the street. It's not that big a deal. I can get it this afternoon or later this week," and you really don't think much
Huh?
on it. But
Right?
whenever I'm like, "Oh man, I really want that," but I can't have it until I go, which could be a week, it could be a month before I'm able to
Yes.
go, you kind of look forward to it.
Yes. Amen. And it's kind of sad that we are that way as humans, but distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Oh man, and then it's only gonna get worse here because now that we're in October, it hasn't started snowing where I live yet, but there's towns around me, those 2-hour vicinity towns that are the nearest ones. They're starting to get snow. So
Yes.
it's coming.
Yes.
Winter's coming. And with
Yes.
winter means there's going to be a lot less traveling,
Yes.
especially once the snow starts to fall, the roads are going to be a little more treacherous. They're going to close more often and can limit us. Hopefully not too much because we do have some things planned in the future as far as being able to skedaddle and get out, like
Right.
to, for example, our other wedding that we're going to next month and being
Yes.
able to escape with
Yes.
that. So fingers crossed it's not too severe. One of the downsides to Wyoming, that's for sure, the freedom to being able to leave is kind of limiting. That can be a downside. It can also be a plus if
Absolutely.
you're a homebody and you just love being able to be cozy and kind of kept in your own home, that's a plus at that point.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And the schools are better in Wyoming. And that's another thing too. I mean, there's just so much that is good about it, but that those few things that are kind of on the negative side, it can weigh heavy on you after a little while. And people do start to get a little stir crazy once winter sets in Wyoming, right? Am I right? I mean, you get a
You're
little
spot
stir
on.
crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's why I get out so much. I'm trying to make up for it because I know that there's gonna be a period to where it slows down significantly, not because I wanted
right.
to, but because the weather and certain things kinda just prohibit or kind of hinder my ability to travel as much, which can be a bittersweet. So if you like being cozied up and not leaving, then Wyoming is a place for you, especially during winter.
Well,
Maybe a snowbird mentality might be in my future
well, I think that's quite kind of what you got going on right now, right? And I like to
to a
preface,
degree.
by the way, I've talked to quite a few people from southern states that ask me what it's like to live in Wyoming, and I let them know, okay, winter sets in, you're going to stir crazy, right? Because you're used to being down here in a southern state where it doesn't snow, but hardly ever. And when it does, it's for a day or two and it's done, right? It's going to melt within 2 hours of landing, if it does land. And if typically ice roads are the biggest problem they face there. But when it comes down to it, you don't get much of a winter at all, right? And so being in a northern state, that snow's going to set in as you're talking about, and you're going to feel a little bonkers. But I also like to let them know that Wyoming is also a state that's really focused on the Constitution. It's a little old fashioned in those regards. And so we don't have a permit to carry a gun in Wyoming. And I'm very, very, very fond of that, right? Some people may not be. Some people may find that a little
That's called
difficult. And
freedom.
absolutely, yes, it is. And but so then those people are definitely not going to want to hang out in Wyoming very long. Most certainly not going to want
Which
to
is
live
funny
there.
because regardless of who you are, unless you're just wanting to maybe possibly say something that isn't very truthful, regardless of who you are, whenever you come to Wyoming, there's not many people out there that come to Wyoming and say, I feel unsafe. It can feel different. It can feel different,
Yes,
but the unsafe aspect is more so in major cities. I don't want to say in other states because other states can feel safe in smaller towns and such and so on. The bigger cities really have a bad reputation when it comes to just not having the
rightfully so.
freedom to protect yourself, but have the
That's
crime
true.
to that doesn't go away. And it's
That is
still
correct.
inevitable and still a part of that society, but no way to
Yep.
protect yourself, which can be
Yep.
very difficult to deal with. Yes,
Especially
definitely a
since the
plus to
criminal.
Wyoming, the freedom there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny because even in those big cities in these other states where they may feel like, okay, well, you don't get to carry a gun openly because it's because of the laws that exist there. The funny part about it is the criminals don't care. It just
Well,
blows
they
my
don't listen
mind,
to the law.
right? They don't exactly. So if there was a law in any state, and there is actually states that try to impose laws against guns, the only people that observe those laws are the honest people, the people that would never take a gun and do something wrong with it. The people that would do something wrong with it, they don't give a flying flip, and they're carrying. They got probably a cachet in their house and doing stupid stuff with it, and that makes it even that much more unsafe. And that's why these bigger cities. That's one of the reasons, one of 100 reasons why these bigger cities are unsafe comparatively. And I don't want to talk anybody into moving to
Yes.
Wyoming by any stretch, but yeah, that's just one
Well,
of
I
the
don't know.
many.
If we get more people to move to Wyoming, hopefully that means we'll have more people that are like-minded, hopefully, like us.
Well, and
They kind of
and
have the
that's the
same
catch.
mindset as us, and we can help it grow because Wyoming is very tiny in comparison to the rest of the states.
Yes. Well, okay. So obviously, Wyoming has great land mass, right? And can handle an influx of people. What they can do there, however, is very difficult, right? Because most of the land is only really good for cattle ranchers and a little bit of farming, not a whole lot of farming, right? I mean, it's really
Not
not
a whole
an
lot.
agriculture. It's not an agricultural cultural state at all. It's a cattle state and an oil state, right? But yeah, I mean, people would find it hard to do things there that would support them financially. But now, then you got the flip side of that story, Montana. I remember 30 years ago when I was in Montana, and it was a much different state than it is now. It was one of those states, just like Wyoming, that did not have many people and a very small population. That changed. And sadly, there were bumper stickers in Montana for a long time during that period leading away from that point where I was there 30 years ago. These bumper stickers were saying things like "Don't California my Montana." And if you think about it, that's exactly what happened. Unfortunately, there were a lot of people from California that did move there and other states as well. And now Montana is changing just a little bit. I really don't want that, hopefully, here in Wyoming.
Well, it's kind of
But you never know.
inevitable. I feel as if when it comes to growth, regardless, it's going to happen. So understanding that since the growth is going to happen and it is inevitable, why not capitalize on that and lead the growth in a direction that you are more familiar with. You are leading that growth into a direction that is more godly based, more freedom based rather than more anything else based. It's kind of understanding that because there are plenty of people out there that are going to sit and they're going to go, "Don't you come in my area? Don't you? I'm not going to accept you into my area because you're different, and I don't like that, and it's not familiar to me, and it's different than my ways. It's inevitable, just like with Montana, just like what with Texas and all these other states. Eventually, Wyoming will have a boom. It's probably not going to be as significant, and it'll probably take a while because of the inclement weather that we deal with half more than half of the year, and that can hinder a lot of people. But at the same time, Montana is the same way. So, and people are willing to move up there. So when they finally move into this area, the goal is to accept them in a way to where they're accepting of our ways along with understanding this is how it is here and we're only going to improve on that. We're not going to negate or leave that direction, but still welcome them.
I mean, wow.
That's how I would handle it.
In theory, or in when we idealize, it feels absolutely fantastic. I think what you just said is wonderful. It is. It's wonderful to think of. But I believe, sadly, it is nothing more than a dream because they tried to do that in Montana. And
I
what
completely
happened,
disagree.
well, when you've got a group of people, there's a group of people out there. It's not very big, but it is big enough that don't believe, and this is getting off in the weeds, right? But we won't spend any time here. But
It
when
is.
you've got a group of people that believe that a man can be a woman, right? Or that believe you can have these rituals in church that are not scriptural. When you believe that state government should be influenced very strongly by these extremely liberal and even either socialist or communistic viewpoints, those people, they don't change. They're not gonna change. They never will change until America takes a turn and becomes, sadly, the country of disrepair that they are taking it. And sadly, since you know you can't change it, the question then is, do you want it to be around you? Because it does try to take away your rights as an American. For example, your gun. Those people want to take away guns. They want that. They want that very strongly. They believe that Americans do not have the right to carry guns, own guns. And these are things that I'm very strongly committed to. And I don't believe they can coexist, quite frankly. They can't. I mean, after a while, I mean, for a little while they can, right? For a little while they can. And I love the idea of coexisting. But sadly, they rub against each other long enough. These are facts of humanity. They rub against each other long enough, they become a point of friction that can't be dealt with. And it always turns into a disaster. Then you have these conversations with young kids that are coming out of colleges that don't understand what is right and what is wrong. They have no clue. They
And you
believe
know
that
why that is.
because they lack God, because they do not have God.
Well, I complete yes, that is the foundation of it, but at the same
Yes.
time, we're getting, like you said, we're getting into the weeds of it, and this is more than just a different mentality moving into a different state. It's more so a overall universal way that it's just a newer generation, a different mentality, kind of taking over slowly, which may be a more ungodly mentality, but at the same
Yes.
time, the reason why there's more growth there is because they're more passionate. The people that want it to stay the same way are, this is the unfortunate part in my mindset, the people that want
You're
it to stay
absolutely
the
right.
way it is aren't passionate
Yes,
enough to keep it that way.
that's correct. And on top of that, I gotta say this because we haven't said it enough. Those people are typically honest people, and they believe in common sense, and they understand logic in God's ways, and as a result, they won't lie about the truth. The other side, unfortunately, will lie about it, and they'll manipulate it and twist it to seem like things are better their way. And that also adds a lot of influence to their position, right? Yeah, I mean, first they remove God. Then what happens is when you remove God, you can destroy the family. Then there's no God, no dad in the picture. There's no mom in the picture. They're growing up latchkey kids. And that's another conversation for another episode. But you end up with that for a generation or two. Boy, you got a disaster. And that's what we're seeing the fruit of right now. Yeah. And since Duo Jive's not a political, for the most part, and not supposed to be a political podcast, I'm sure we touch on it. We've proven we'll touch on it every once in a while. We won't spend too much time on it, but these are things that are actually good to talk about, I believe, every once in a while.
I completely agree. I think I'd like to consider us we sit more in the realm of a lifestyle podcast. And when you're a lifestyle, that incorporates a lot of different things. And it's okay to,
Yes.
communicate on that and let us know, whoever's
Yes.
listening out there, let us know on what you guys think about our thoughts on this. If you agree, disagree on your thoughts on
Absolutely.
where we're headed. Is Wyoming, is it inevitable for Wyoming, along with all the other states, to kind of grow into this newer age mentality, which may unfortunately be more ungodly? With that, how do we fix it? How do we understand that this is where it's headed? Where do we go from there, and how do we improve on that? That's kind of
Yes.
where I would kind of lead and I would start. Yeah, but like you said, it's not a political podcast. It's definitely a lifestyle podcast. So sprinkle a political our thoughts on it, and it's not
Points.
even
Yes.
necessarily political. It's more so just like
Society.
different generations kind of
Yes.
colliding in different states. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, we don't want to, yeah, go too
And by the
deep,
way,
but
no, absolutely. And by the way, we had a wonderful podcast last week, and we had some conversation that sparked some conversation in the threads, and which I immensely enjoyed. Right. Well, it gave me the idea of contacting a friend of mine who happens to be for a long time a teacher in the LDS church, and we had some listeners last week that had some opinions on this, and fortunately, my friend is going to join us for an episode. So we'll be talking about that when
we're
it's
gonna have
convenient.
our very first guest appearance.
Yes, yes, we must. We must.
All right. Well, that's exciting. Look
Yes.
forward to that here in the future. Our very first guest appearance
Yes.
that we can hopefully talk to and introduce you guys.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Look forward
Jeff
to
is
that
an
here in the future.
amazing. Yeah. Anybody listening, whether they are LDS, whether they believe it's right or wrong, they will enjoy Jeff's knowledge. Oh my goodness, his knowledge of the LDS church. He is the LDS, so he'll be coming from that perspective, by the way. And so this is something that people will look forward to, and I'd hope they would spread the word and have that conversation with us, or enjoy the conversation with us, and then jump into the commentary afterwards and give us an opportunity to banter back and forth about that. Yeah. So
Yes. Well,
I wanted
I
to throw
think
that out there.
that's a good place to wrap up. Yes, something to look forward
Absolutely.
to, both
Yes.
on having our guest speaker, our very first guest speaker. So, more to come, more adventures to come, to look forward to those. So, make sure to check out our socials on that. And yeah, let us know your thoughts on where Wyoming is headed, what your thoughts are on Wyoming, and what you think of this state, if you even knew about it before this podcast. Maybe we introduced you, your
Yeah.
favorite ice cream flavor, all of the above, just everything we talked
Yes.
about. Let us know your guys'
Yes.
thoughts, comments, questions, concerns. And I
Absolutely.
think this is kind of a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is the thing that you say every week at the end?
Well, I mean, way to spoil it, first of all. But,
So,
thanks for listening, everyone. Make sure to like and subscribe and to give us a follow. And with that, make sure to live life to the fullest.
there you go. Right there, man. I love it. Thanks, buddy.